Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for
Hello,
making
Kelley.
some time. I really appreciate it. Um,
Thanks for having me.
yes, I was just listening to one of our colleagues talk about how you are the most fearless and wickedly sharp people that she has ever met. And I'm just grateful to you in general. Um, One, I feel like in this fight, when we're fighting for our lives, like you got to be able to find some humor, some kind of place, and some kind of where. But two, because like I'm not gonna lie, I read your story just like most of America did, and I was pissed off. I mean, I reading it felt a level of violation and distrust in the medical system and healthcare providers that is astronomical for you experiencing it, but not just experiencing it, being courageous enough to take action. Um, I think it really touched a lot of people. And I know that the times that we're in are rough and terrible. I know that you are battling cancer and battling the system at the same time. Before we talk about anything, I just want to ask, how are you?
I'm absolutely blessed and fortunate to be able to share my story with so many people is how I am. I'm just very grateful that have this opportunity to try to make things right for one, for folks such as myself and really everyone. But also, yeah, I mean, I'm just lucky to be alive, so I'm happy to be here,
Mm.
literally.
Well, that means a lot. It really does, especially for you to still find kind of the joy and happiness just in being here with all that you're having to navigate. Like, I think it says a lot. And I'm curious. I mean, like I said, I read the story like all of America, and I think the thing that stands out most to me about it is your courage. What inspired you to take action in this way?
I mean, the the I just I have to leave the world better than I found it, right? One in some way or another. And I didn't go through everything I went through in my transition and everything else to get disrespected like that at a hospital during my treatment. It just I if I have the opportunity to make it better for those folks who are going to be following, my journey, on their own journey through the hospital, et cetera. I want to make it such that they don't have to deal with what I dealt with. I want to make sure that they just don't, they're not going to face the same challenges and discrimination and just unpleasantness to put it lightly. It really it's for those who are coming after me.
Yeah. And you are the most kind and generous person. You say unpleasantness. I call it like a total civil rights violation.
I mean, it was a nasty mess. It was horrendous, literally very horrendous. I I know I shouldn't be smiling at. I'm trying to like, but it was horrid. It was terrible.
Can I ask, like, okay, so you were at Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York City, right?
Yes.
Big city, big hospital system, one that even has on their website statements that affirm their inclusive practices. When you heard the recording, were you surprised or did it like affirm other experiences that you had already had in the hospital system?
I wasn't expecting to hear that. That was the first like I was not expecting to hear what I heard at all. I don't know what I really expected. I expected to hear lung surgery, you know? And so I definitely didn't expect to hear like a discussion about my, genitalia and being trans and whether or not it's okay to be trans and all the other things that came up on there. And yeah, I don't know. I was shocked. I absolutely was not prepared or expecting to hear that one bit. I'd had like, a couple of questionable experiences before that, but nothing on that level, like at all. No, nowhere near that. That blew my mind, that recording.
Wow. And I mean, when you listened to it, what was your next step then? Did you know like, okay, I'm gonna have to sue. I'm gonna have to kind of escalate this, or what did you think?
Well, I knew I was going to have to go to the folks at the patient experience department because I figured that they would help. And so I knew I was going to have to present that to them one way or another. And that was the first thing. I mean, my heart kind of dropped when I first heard it. It was like got this like almost like this adrenaline dump. I was like I couldn't like I was it's so difficult to really wrap your mind around like I am about to go into surgery or I'm in surgery or whatever. And these people are is he having conversation about, again, like my genitalia and whether trans women are women and all this other like just off the wall, like, why are you talking about this? It's literally like I'm about to have lung surgery. Don't you have more important things to worry about? There was this just feeling of absolute mind-boggling, like I felt like it couldn't be real. So my next steps were, um, to put it like very sequentially, I sent it to my partner. I was like, can you listen to this and just make sure that you hear what I think I'm hearing on this? And kind of then it was okay, well, let's get it over to them. Let maybe they'll be able to fix this or do something about it. Because that was, that's all we really needed to do. I didn't think that I was going to be litigating at all when I first heard the tape. I was hoping that I would get an apology. They would fix my records, and that would be it. I mean, that's really all I wanted. That's really all I was asking for. Um, but they just kind of they weren't, they chose to not take it very seriously when I complained to them. Just like they're not really taking this litigation super seriously at the moment. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total slap in the face. I mean, for any person that's ever had challenges with the health system. Look, I know that what my experiences could not ever compare to yours, but as a black woman, when I was having my child in the health system, I was so afraid that, hearing all the stats about black maternal health, that I wasn't going to make it out alive. All of
Yeah.
us feel this sort of anxiety, and to know, it really sticks with me that you sent it to your partner. You said, "Can you confirm that I'm not crazy?" Because that's what
Oh
we're
yeah.
constantly doing, trying to find ways um to assume the best of folks when our lives are in their hands.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's you don't want that, like when you hear it, you don't want it to be real. You
right,
know, you just like these like it doesn't register at first. It's a lot of cognitive dissonance, I guess is the term. Just that's not what these medical professionals are supposed to be doing. Like that's not what they do. That they're there to help. What is this? That was kind of the yeah. It definitely felt like a little bit of like a I don't know. Cognitive dissonance, I guess, is the term. Felt like I was definitely experiencing some cognitive dissonance in the moment because I grew up around medicine and stuff like that, and my mom was a nurse, and that's
really,
not how these professionals acted. You know, it's like
right, right,
so it was really mind-boggling to me. Like it took a minute to really accept that like what I had recorded had occurred.
right. And
Yeah.
the cognitive dissonance really resonates with me too. I mean, you're talking about the most vulnerable that a person could be, right?
Hmm.
Um, your life literally in the hands of the people in that room that are actively expressing that they have a bias towards you just for being who you are.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's something happening where there's like a permission for people to say these things out loud that, when your mom was a nurse, that just wouldn't have been said?
You know, I think that the society has definitely maybe changed a little bit, right? Given just the current climate with, the Trump administration, all the executive orders against trans people, this and that. I mean, it's for whatever reason, it's kind of people consider it okay to discriminate against trans people, like it's not a big deal, which it absolutely is a big deal, and there's even though we're only 1% of the population, that's a lot, still quite a bit of people, 350 million people in this country, right? So there's a bunch of us, and it's just, it's never okay to discriminate against anyone, period. But yeah, it seems like people feel a little bit more free with themselves, though. I'll say that I think that these folks certainly felt free to express that part of themselves. That hasn't been my experience at any other healthcare institution. It's only been this place that I've gone through what I've gone through. Everywhere else was, they were actually did the right thing and were treating me correctly and everything else. So it's only MSK that I've had these problems at.
I think that's an important message for people to hear too, that look, there's a standard of care that people
Hmm.
deserve. And actually, you can get it in a lot of places. Especially when you're on a healing journey like the one that you're on, or a fight like the fight that you're in, people deserve that dignity and respect.
Absolutely, all the time, every time. there's no reason to go through the sorts of frankly nightmarish treatments that cancer care has in store for you, and also deal with the type of discrimination that I had to deal with. Yeah, no, it's insult to injury,
Mm,
almost, it's awful.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
oof.
insult to injury for sure. And I think that the thing that still comes back to me is after experiencing all of that, being in the fight for your life with cancer, living as a trans person in the United States, still finding the courage, right, in the midst of being treated horribly to stand up and do something about it. There are a lot of folks that, will watch this conversation or that I talk to in the as a part of the human rights campaign that are going through all kinds of care, especially our trans folks and our trans youth, from gender affirming care to just going to the dentist and worried about the experiences that they'll have.
Mhm.
Is there any message that you have for folks?
I mean, the only message I really have is you got to fight. You got to stand up for yourself, and like it's worth fighting. You like just like I didn't go through everything I went through to get treated like I got treated. Anyone else out there, I know that trans people or anyone sort of under the umbrella anywhere, um, you didn't go through everything you went through to get treated like that. You didn't go through that journey to just kind of like roll over and let that happen. There, it still exists institutions in this country that are there to help solve these kinds of problems. Um, in New York, we're lucky enough we have the human rights laws and state level and on city level. But really, you have to fight. There's no other choice. You have to fight. Especially now, given the way things are. Like, unfortunately, it's not nice to do. And it's tiring and it's exhausting, but you got to fight.
You have to
That's all.
fight.
You got to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said, and I think, as I read your story, it's not only the words that they said on that recording, it's also the actions that they took, trying to change your medical records, trying to deny you the safety, dignity, and trust that you deserve in providers. Tell me, like, what was that experience like? And when you have experienced the care that you deserved, what did that feel like?
So finding out that my record had been changed, I had to kind of figure it out on my own. It's not like they like ran it by me or told me afterwards. I just kind of woke up from surgery and noticed that my medical records are now saying M instead of F when I get like my post-surgery report and everything. And I think I emailed my oncologist like that week or something when I got out of there. I was like, hey, why does it say M on my this record over here? He said, oh, well, it says F over here. It's a glitch. I don't know why it says that. I have no idea. I was like, okay. And so it turned into this weird kind of like Kafka-esque thing where nobody could answer why this had happened. Nobody could give me an answer as to how I could fix it. Everyone just had told me to talk to somebody else, right? No one really wanted to deal with it. So that was kind of the original or the introduction to my new reality at this hospital. Um, but it was awful because all of a sudden my records, which say F everywhere else, all of a sudden at this place they're not saying that, and nowhere else seems to have this problem, right? It's not even something that I've had to solve anywhere else, but and no one here seems to be able to solve it. So it felt very hopeless and kind of futile. Um, and mind you, this went on for 3 years.
Wow.
Of people just everyone had a different reason why it couldn't be done. Everyone had a different date that was over a year in the future, at which point they'd be able to fix it because we have this new system. And my life expectancy was probably around 18 months, give or take, estimated. So when they're
Wow.
telling me that, yeah, when they're telling me it's a couple years before they can fix it, it just felt mean. Like it was like, why has it got to be years to change this? Like, especially when I had the recording and they changed it in 30 seconds in the recording.
Mm,
It took no time. But now it's impossible. They can't do it. So it was maddening. It was maddening. It was awful. And um, I wasn't getting misgendered when I would go in very much, ever. Like there was a couple, it was like one or two notable exceptions to that before that, but it just became constant because now I'm walking in there and you see Jennifer, but the 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 sex marker says M, and and normally my hair is quite a bit longer than this and everything. I had to cut it for a procedure I had, but like it made no sense, and so I'm
Right.
getting like people give me the double looks and everything, and um getting called sir and mister and all this, and it's like, yeah, it's just it's ridiculous and it's mean-spirited and it's not okay to do that. So it was just it would push back progress that I was making in my transition. Um, I would have some gender affirming procedure, say facial feminization or breast augmentation or anything else, and be feeling good about how I was looking or
Yeah.
all that. And I'd go in, and now I'm getting called Mister,
Mm.
and Sir, and he and him, and it'll get to you a little bit because you think you're happy with what you see in the mirror. Everywhere else you go in the world, people are interacting with you in the way that you're hoping to be interacted with. And but then this place I walk into it and it just nullifies it immediately.
Mm.
And so it really robbed me of much of the joy, much of like the gender euphoria that was happening because of these procedures, would get stunted or halted entirely. And it really took a toll. It really took a toll. Uh, Going to anywhere else where they're doing the right thing feels nice. It's great. It's wonderful. It feels like normal. And it shouldn't but for me, it started to feel like a treat almost when I would go to see a different doctor because I was going to be gendered correctly. I was going to be respected, which was oddly, it became a little bit more rare. It felt like, if I'm checking in to get chemo and all of a sudden the girl checking me is like, yes, queen. It's like, there's no like that was uncalled for. Like, like we just outed me to the entire waiting room for one. And for two, like I don't even know you. Like why are you guys, like it makes no sense. It's rude. So, it's just stuff like that was happening where it was just it was completely it make me feel singled out,
Yeah.
feel very, very much like there was a big blinking sign above my head. That was like, oh, this person is trans. It's a trans right here.
Mm.
And when that's not the case anywhere else that I go in my life, right?
Right.
I just don't experience that anywhere else. But I just started kind of dreading going in.
Ah.
But yeah, no, it was just the fact that that it became exciting to see a different doctor that wasn't affiliated with this hospital, for a regular checkup with my GP, because they're not going to call me sir. Yeah,
Right.
that's exciting. It's an affirming medical experience, which is not the norm for me.
Mm.
So it was, yeah, unfortunately became a treat to get gendered
Wow.
correctly by a doctor during the time that this was really in full swing there. It was really disheartening. Yeah, it definitely took a toll mentally, and it was bad.
Thank you for sharing that and just for all of your vulnerability. I mean, look, people deserve to be treated with fairness, dignity, and respect, whether it's at school, at work, or in the hospital setting. Like, that's
Yeah,
all it is. And what
yeah,
really resonated with me is when you said at the end of the day, this is just mean spirited. And for me, I think that anyone that's watching this, whether you're a trans person, you're a cis person, you're a queer person, you're a straight person, you're black, or white, or anything else, if this can happen to a trans person, it could happen to any of us too. So, as you're
absolutely.
talking about the need to fight and the need to show up with solidarity, how can those of us watching show up for you?
Well, for one, don't vote for people who are working against trans interests. Absolutely. Um, that's the main one. And just to show up for me, I mean, all I can say is say something. You got to stand up and say something. And if you're cis, use that privilege, to speak out when you see someone who's maybe not cis getting treated badly. So as simple as that. You just got to kind of fight for fairness and people being treated equally wherever you are. That's how you can show up. That's how you can show up for me personally. Anyone around the country, mainly. Vote. Don't vote for people who are anti-trans. And when you see something unjust happening, speak out. Do something about it. that's it. Like that's the best way that they can is, you know, don't let it just don't let it slide.
Don't be silent. Absolutely.
Exactly. Silent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Silence is no good. It's gonna get you. You know, just, like
Yeah.
it might be happening to me now, but you're next. You know, like it doesn't matter who you are. It can happen to you too.
That's right.
Like you put, it's just they I seemed like an easy target, I guess,
Hmm.
at the time. But anyone can look like that to an opportunist, you know.
Right.
So take away those opportunities.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you
Mhm.
for fighting this battle on too many fronts. And, I just hope that, like HRC in our community, we have your back. Is there anything else that you want to say?
Um, no, I don't have much to,
You don't have to say
thank you very
anything
much.
else.
Thank you so much for having me and speaking with me and helping me, you know, get my story out there. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the work that you all do in general. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me. I'm very appreciative of it.